Well, good afternoon. It is our pleasure to welcome you back to the LPGA Tour of Korea here at Peiram for the second event of the season, the inaugural MEDIHEAL HANKOOKILBO Championship. It is not quite as clear skies and ideal conditions as we saw last week in our opener, but we are off to a fantastic start here in the first ever playing of this tournament in an opening round of 64. Absolutely dialed in was Park Ji-young just before we came on the air. She has set the mark to beat at the minute with a 64, 8 under par. Kim Soo-ji, of all the players still on course, the closest to the top. We will be keeping an eye on her round very, very closely, and quite frankly, many players going under a much kinder course than what we saw last week at the Lotte Sky Hill Country Club. My name is Adam Jenkins. Thank you so much for making us a part of your Thursday afternoon. Wherever in the world you are tuning in from, you are very welcome here at Peiram. Peng Min-ji, we see her name for the first time in 2022, last season's points and money champion. Missed out on the event last week due to a positive COVID-19 case. Great to have her back in the field, and also great, as you will see and as you will hear over the course of the next 3 hours, the return of the patrons to the tour. They have been raucous. They have been absolutely enjoying being back out and following some of the best in the world, and certainly some of the most promising young stars and current stars here on the LPGA Tour of Korea. Also notice some significant difference in the landscapes as well here at Peiram compared to what we saw last week. And we will begin our coverage today, round 1 of 4 on the 10th hole. It's a par 4 and 127 meters out. Well, unsure of the release, it wasn't quite the stroke she was searching for, and sent it to the left of the green. Pin location today, pretty much dead center in the middle of the green and 17 yards off the front. Much longer greens here as well at Peiram. Yuhei ran from just off the fairway into the rough. She certainly turned up the heat last week. A 5 under in the final round to finish in a tie for third. Better depth, but also to the left, and is going to catch that slope. Two over in her opening round. In the season opener, she was not quite as far back as that score would typically indicate with how difficult it played last week, but she saved her best golf for the weekend, no doubt about that. Kim Soo-ji also heading left, but she will clear the green altogether, so wide open putting surface on number 10. Slightly longer course we have here in week number 2. 6,600 yards, just over 6,000 meters altogether. Kim Reem she was pretty consistent earlier in the round. It was steady around 2 under. That was the mark she was closing in at towards the turn, and a bit of struggles as she makes her way to the west course here. 1 over. How good was she the opening few rounds? 9 under was her score heading in to the first championship Sunday of the year, and just disappointing at the end. It's a lovely putt from a long way out for back-to-back birdies, and now up to 3 under par for Kim Jae-hee. Kim Soo-ji's going to have some work to do to try and take a step closer to the top. She begins her back nine. 4 strokes back. It's 10 degrees cooler than it was on Sunday as well. Certainly much farther north in Korea, just outside the city of Icheon. Only 11 degrees Celsius. The wind steady around 2.3 meters per second. Overcast skies, and we have seen a fair amount of rain. 8 millimeters altogether, so much slower, much softer fairways and greens as well. So we'll give you a look at number 10, 346 meters from the tee blocks to the green. Pretty generous fairway to play into, and then the sand begins. We have 2 to the left and 1 bunker to the right. And as just discussed a few minutes ago, 10 yards from the left, the pin today, 17 yards off the front. Look at the slopes as well. Certainly don't want to be leaving too much to chance. The border of the green. First off the tee. Confident twirl, but not going to like the end result there. Very much push to the right and into the rough. The top 3 on the leaderboard have all found birdie here at number 10, and has been a relatively generous hole. Kim Se-romi, a bogey, currently in a tied for 16th, one of just 3 players who are under par to bogey this hole. Just shy of the big charitable target painted in the fairway. We're a much better tour with her on it, there's no doubt about that. Two over through the opening 9 holes. Drives Bung Min-ji just outside the target, and 2 in the fairway and 1 off to the left. And back to the green. Definitely have to get up that rise. Well, it's a chip, but it's nearly a line drive right into the slope that takes off all possible speed she might have had on her way towards the pin.
제가 작년에 잘 할 때 좀 아쉬웠던 게 갤러리 분들이 안 계신 상태에서 우승을 많이 했어요. 그렇기 때문에 좀 많은 분들이 직접 제 경기를 보셨으면 저도 좋고 갤러리 분들도 더 재밌지 않았을까 그런 생각을 하거든요.
아무래도 갤러리 분들께서 저희 경기에 대해서 호응해 주시고 기뻐해 주시면 더 기쁜 마음으로 치게 되는 것 같아요.
저희가 경기가 잘 안 풀릴 때 홀을 이동할 때도 갤러리 분들이 이제 화이팅 아니면 뭐 응원의 좀 한마디 해주시면 한 번 더 웃을 수 있고,
스포츠 경기다 보니까 갤러리 분들도 굉장히 익사이팅하고 또 저희도 너무 힘이 많이 됩니다.
일단 안전사고에 유의하셔야 될 것 같고, 또 뭐 쓰레기 같은 거 잘 버려주셔야, 쓰레기통에 버려주셔야 될 것 같고,
우선 대기본적인 뭐 휴대폰 매너 모드 정도, 뭐 또 선수들 칠 때 카메라 소리, 셔터 소리 이 정도는 조금 기본적으로 조금 자제해 주셨으면 좋겠고,
응원하는 선수와 함께 플레이하는 동반자 플레이어들도 함께 응원해주시고 박수 쳐주시면 좀 좋을 것 같고, 그렇게 성숙한 갤러리 문화를 이렇게 보여주신다면 저희는 그거에 또 보답해드리는 좋은 퍼포먼스를 보여드릴 수 있을 것 같습니다.
너무나도 좋은 그런 모습을 보여드리고자 하는 마음이 크기 때문에 많은 분들이 오셔서 또 응원해 주시면 그만큼 힘도 나고 또 좋은 모습으로 또 함께 즐길 수 있는 그런 경기가 될 수 있을 것 같습니다.
KLPGA 대회 많은 관람 와주세요.
Well, there have been many a smile from ear to ear. Great to see so many popular faces back, and look, these are spectators, these are patrons who have been trying to support the best they can from home. Some of the competitors talking about the adjustment it will have to have them back. It's been so long without patrons that getting used to the noise and seeing so many people around the course will certainly take some getting used to. Speed looks pretty good. Just off the line inside left. Two putt and a tap in. It's the first bogey of the round after 4 birdies on the front 9. And Kim Soo-ji also the first to finish here at number 10. Well, the approaches as left of target as they were. Decent yardage for both of these two. She's been clutch when it has counted the most. Absolutely no break to it whatsoever. Stayed straight right off the release. She was par perfect 36 through 9 and will also start her back 9 with a bogey. Well, if there's any lessons to be had from that, we should not overestimate the amount of movement on this putt. Hardest navigation of this green is already done up into what should be normally an enviable position. You are to avoid dropping again. Stay at 1 over. Just inside 2 meters. Well, there is a par to be secured. Back-to-back bogeys to start. Birdies at the 3rd and the penultimate. Still at 1 over. Steady improvements, from Yuhei Ren as well last week. The putter is fine-tuning it. 29 and 27 putts respectively in the final 2 rounds. And last week's winner, Chang Soo-yeon, 4th win in her career. What a race to the finish last week. Between her and Iso Mi. It was anyone's tournament all the way to the 72nd and final hole, and A chip gone awry for Isomi opened the door after just a remarkable setup from Chang Soo-yeon. Now putting Min-ji 122 meters out. Pretty straight look at target. Well, she's back. If there was any doubt. That is the aggressive and accurate shot making we grew accustomed to last season. It's a hit and stick sitting just up above the hole. Well, if there's any concern, any worry about some potential rust after missing last week, I think all of those concerns were very safely quelled there. First and foremost, and certainly of utmost importance, glad to see she's recovered and healthy. That is priority number one. Well, then from the golfing standpoint, she is certainly going to push herself and the rest of the field. Might take her a round or two to warm up, but she'll be almost certainly inside the top 25 in no time whatsoever. And welcome back to Bayram, and welcome to the green. Chang Soo-yeon, what a weekend it was, so long in the making. In the return to the win column. Already so close to the KLPGA Championship, one of the few events in the career Chang Soo-yeon had won. Also became the first two-time winner of the event last week. Lee So-mi, she was nearly the first defending champion, but we did get a repeat winner. You'd have to go back long before pandemics and some of the technological advancements that we see on course. The last time Chang Soo-yeon had won a tournament. For birdie at 10. It's going to pick up some speed on its way in. Just slightly off to the right. It's a good effort from Kim Se-young. Tap and par still hung up at 2 over. This is quite the lengthy birdie putt, but it would get Kim Se-young back up to even. Needs to straighten out. It's staying left. Well, from opening rounds last week of 5 under and 4 under par respectively, she went 4 over and 2 over on the way into a tie for 13th with a tournament score of 3 under. Certainly this group will have one of the largest followings, and whichever groups Bungmin-ji makes it into between now and Sunday. This is her look at birdie. Uphill putt, a little right to left, perhaps a lot right to left. One under, heading to 11. On the complete opposite of the line from the last hole, this is going to get right in a hurry. Little maintenance to make sure that her back heel is in the line of her group mate. It was taken care of, but that's a disappointing one. Well, she was absolutely lethal with the putter all tournament long last week, and the gallery will move on with our featured group to the next tee. And onto the green at 11. This to get Lee Dae-yeon back to even. Well, it's getting started on the line. Just not quite enough on it. Season opener for her as well. 333 meters here at 11, the second shortest of the par fours. Kick towards the rough on the left side, but that will stay quite playable. This one also drifting slightly to the left, but should be all right. Consistently one of the best performers with driver last year. Inside the top 25 in both accuracy and distance. Bang Min-ji, 6 wins on the season, 1.5 billion. That's a purse and a half, to put that into perspective. The entire purse this week, 1 billion won. That's about 817,000 US dollars, 622,000 pounds, or nearly 750,000 euros. Bang Min-ji last year over the course of the season. In the 25 events she participated in, collected 1.5. Season like few we've ever seen before. Have to wonder what we have in store from her in 2022. Extended season as well. This is one of 2 added events to the calendar. We're at 33 this season. See, a little bit shortchanged on the birdie attempt. Cool, damp day up in the mountains. You don't always have too many gripes with that in the early rounds. Makes for, as long as the rain stays away, makes for a very forgiving course. Between now and Sunday, I'm sure we will see our fair share of highlights. We already had a hole-in-one on the season. Many more surprises in store. Our coverage of the opening round of the MEDIHEAL HANKOOKILBO Championship from Peiran will continue in a moment. It's 124 meters out from a nice spot in the fairway. Well, she needed to be back right. Didn't quite need to be that long. Distance-wise, only about 12 yards beyond the pin. That should be a makeable up and down. Nearly using every available meter of this fairway. Bang Min-ji's approach, and she's not going to clear their eyes. Might be reconsidering that decision of loft. Probably could have used full extra club. And lastly, Kim Se-young, her feet in the rough, her ball on the border of the fairway, 106 meters out. She's going to fare quite similar to Bang Min-ji, well back. And this is a 13, a birdie from just on the fringe. And rattling down to the bottom of the cup, Kwon So-yeon, back-to-back now. Keep an eye on her in the home stretch here, 2 under par. $509 this first par 5 on the West Course. It's going to get a nice kick down the hill back towards the middle. And well clear of the target zone as well. Some confidence to be built off a shot like that. Marim from the fairway at number 13, just over 100 meters away. Well, she had her distance to perfection, just over pin high, and a good look at birdie. And for Chang Soo-yeon now, the soft greens will play into her favor here. An audible gasp as she came within the width of a ball of hauling that out. And back to 13. Kim Chae-hee, she's going to get a nice roll back down the slope. Keep on going, keep on going. I think for so many, with all the tournaments last year, the practice rounds, the players that love the environment that come with the patrons are going to absolutely relish every second of this. And from a tricky location, that's a good first putt from Bang Min-ji. There he is last year. We didn't have to wait very long for the first of her 6 titles. Came in just the second event of her season. Last year there was a 1-week gap between the Lotte Rent-A-Car Ladies Open and the Nexen St. Nine Masters, of which Bang Min-ji won the latter. Kim Se-young, it's to start a bit more to our left, her right. She's got the line, just needs the distance too. That's a great effort as well. Just outside of a meter to save par. Tricky enough with the slope, needs to start it just above the hole. And she had her line, she just overhit it. Minji heeding the warning, perhaps taking an extra second here. Slightly shorter distance also for par, and a juxtaposition at the last line. She needs to be a little bit underneath from our vantage point. Knocks it down. It's a good par. Certainly trying to keep pace with her group mates and does not want to see 3 over. Nice par safe. Needed that one. Bouncing back to the 13th. Check out the degree of difficulty on this putt. It's a little nudge to get it started. Very well done indeed from Kime Reem. Back to even par with one of the toughest putts she'll face today. The amount of break on this putt is absurd. Our wireless camera operator giving us a really good look. It looks a lot more straightforward from the traditional vantage point, but that's a great spot to show just how much ducking, dipping, and diving there was on that ball. Now last week's winner needs this for bogey. First of the day, birdie's at 3 and 7. She is 1 under and 7 back. Kim Soo-ji just right on the border of that second cut. Needs to stay right. We'll get a good bounce up. Spin killing anymore. Forward progress that was going to make towards the cup. But she's on. We do most of your walking on the way to the green here. 12 yards off the front and 4 from the right, and perfect spin back. My word, what an approach. Pumps the fist as she is neatly inside of just a few feet for birdie. And she can thank Mother Nature for the rain earlier in the day for the assist on that. Yuhei Ran can also get back up to even. She's got to get this one close. It's 87 meters from the left side of the fairway, cutting back to the right. Slight headwind. And she too is going to get the stop up she needs and a little bit of movement back to the right as well. This group's going pin seeking. 2 very, very good looks at birdie coming up. You can string a few of those together. We might just see them get closer and closer to that round of 3 under, which is the logjam right now, led by Chanana. So everyone continuing to chase. Park Ji-young atop the leaderboard with an opening round 64, the MEDIHEAL HANKOOKILBO Championship at Peiram. We'll rejoin the action on the green, the par 5 12th. She had been anticipating a ton more break than that. Never wanted to get back to the right, and she rolls 3 or 4 feet beyond her birdie look. Kim Chae-hee. She even had a step forward on the way into a birdie celebration. She was convinced that was destined to drop. Bit of a strange one that. It looked really, really good. It just had so much, perhaps not even so much, but enough extra power that it just popped right back out. Now Yuhei ran this to get back to even after a remarkable approach and reaping the rewards of attacking that pin. First birdie since the 9th and back on an upward trajectory. Now this a par save. She stays pacing the group, 5 back of the leader and 3 under for the round. And Dayan also back up to even. Well, that's starting to really shake things up a little bit. And yes, now after just one event of the season, we can give you updated leaders. And it is, of course, Chang Soo-yeon leading both the points with her 50 collected for the win and 126 million won collected last week. And on 61 points, the top leader after one event, Moon Jung-min. Speaking of the aforementioned champion, this is where we find her. Off the fairway and into the rough. A sliver over 100 meters back of the green. She's got a little bit more muscle to plow through that grass. She does, and she's going to get a friendly little roll as well. That's a great out. Well, you can see the grass here in the rough, not just dead, but very loose and gonna make things a little bit tricky for Peng Min-ji. She's 81 meters out. She picked this out cleanly at that. Online, but short of the green. From slightly to the left and 6 meters closer, but a very similar looking shot. On and off the dance floor and then all the way down the hill. That is a disappointing end result. Yuhei Ran has found the left bunker at the 13th. Instant feedback is good. And that would be why. You heard a good shot call. I'd say, I'd go one better and say fantastic. Caddy passes along the result she was hoping for, and that is we have a good shot. And birdie here. Great recovery from the sand. It's 97 meters for Lee Dayan, ball slightly beneath her feet. Well, if not for as much spin as she had, she might have been even closer than that, but it does get her down the hill and stops up well. Alright, no pressure here, but your group mates have set the bar pretty high. Almost an identical shot. 87 meters, a bit steeper, if anything, on the lie. Right to left wind. Won't let have any say. Won't need to. Is low enough. Tantalizingly close to putting, but she'll be needing a bit of work to get that up and down completed. As will Bung Min Ji here. This is her fourth. From 14 meters to less than 1. Little slow out of the gates as she found her feet, but I won't be silly enough to go to mid-season form, but she's playing some very great golf. This is Uni Na. This is manageable line. And she even had the weight control on it too. Just a little tap and all the way in, up to 2 under through 15 holes. Kim Se-young bumps it right up towards target. Couple of meters shy. And through 13, 3 under par. Kim Soo-ji on to the next. Here's the latest with Chang Soo-yeon. This for birdie. With the slope we're on, she's going to need to give herself some generous breathing room to her left. Even when it looks like next to no contact is made, still just rolls right on by. Tough to narrow in her sights on that one. Same can be said for her group mates that will be facing similar putts. Well, this is all that's left out of her second shot from the bunker. It'll be back-to-back birdies. Oh, she's feeling it. As she should be. Even if she birdies out, she still would be one stroke back, but putting together a good run of form right now. Here's Kim Se-young. This is proving to be a bit of an aggravating pin placement today. It's going to be bogey. Off the back right. Bumped it up and it's a 2-putt and she drops one spot down. Lee Dae-yeon for birdie at the 13th. Inside and away. A 2-putt par 4 for her. Didn't see too many puffer jackets last week when it was 24 degrees on Jeju. Now Bung Min-ji to stay at 1 under. Can she break the streak of misfortune of this group she has? Tip of the visor. And we will see her at the 13th shortly. And also a par save for Chang Soo-yeon. Well, those two are in a tie for 15th on the leaderboard right now at 1 under. And brought to you by Bridgestone. A look at the 13th. 323 meters from the tee blocks to the fairway. Get a bit of a fade on it, you're in great shape. Dogleg to the right, 4 pot bunkers to the left side of the fairway. Anything in and around the sprinkler head is well within wedge territory. Up you go, and before we even show you the topography, you can tell you do not want to be short at the green here, which unfortunately is where we're targeting today. Just 9 yards off the front and 7 from the left. And yes, that blue is pretty nasty at the front side. Middle of the green you'll be alright, especially with the wedge shot to take you back to target.
Okay, shot.
Good shot indeed. Lands with a soft thud.
Okay.
Neatly in a line beside Bung Min-ji, looking for her first birdie since the 7th. Also had a birdie at the 3rd as well. To 16. The longest of the 4 par 4s here at Peiram. 170 meters. watching that in, and she will be more than happy with that. These soft greens, especially on the par 3s, can be quite conducive to some low scores. No reason to not attack, especially at the 16th. Still at even on 15, Kimei Reem, 150 meters out. The average result here today is inside of 5 meters. She will not be contributing to that stat. Rolls back down the slope and into the second cut. Right at the pin, pin seeking to say the least. There may be nobody more confident out on course right now than Yuhei Ran, who's stringing together some absolutely incredible approach shots at the minute. Well, it's a drastic improvement from our second, just one hole ago. That's Bungmanji's second at 13th. Right up on top, and she'll stay. Looking downhill at birdie. Really nice attack plan if you can get left without sacrificing too much of your distance. It more or less keeps the sand out of play here at the 13th. It's 99 meters out, high lofted approach. And that will help her pick up some meters back towards the pin as well. Kimei Reem now. Good start to the up and down. She's up. She's got a putt just outside of super comfortable territory to go. This is certainly a lengthy look. Downhill birdie putt as well. Well, it slows up more or less just in time. From that location, it's about all you can ask for. quite there. Now many an eye will be turned towards the result of this, both in terms of how impressive it would be, but also the fact that she's looking for 3 in a row. And she's got it. The gallery following Yue Ran is growing increasingly. 4 holes to play, and she is at 2 under par. Just outside the top 10 for now, and that look says it all. She knew she wasn't super confident in it, but she gave it a good hit. 1 under on the way to 16 for Kim Chae-hee. Now Bung Min-ji, this needs to straighten out. It is not going to. 2-footer for par. Our only birdie of the day has come at the 8th hole. She hasn't carded any bogeys. Just hasn't been able to pick up any ground. Kim Hye-rim is dropping some at that. This will be bogey. Drops to 1 over. Well, from about 10 meters away, she had a decent try. Won't be much consolation for Kim Se-young, who's hoping to inch closer and closer to even as her opening round starts to wind to a close. Now, Uni Na is for birdie. Rocks back on her heels and takes the ball with her. It's back-to-back now for her as well. Her 4th birdie of the day. She'll be joining Yue Ran in the back-to-back birdie club. She's in a tie for 5th right now at 3 under. This looks good. Chang Soo-yeon, 2 under. She put that bogey at 11 in the rearview mirror. And now the 14th. 153 meters is uphill par 3. Makes for quite the scenic walk. Definitely catches your eye. The tree in the middle of the bunker on the left side. That tree is only really a factor today if you are in a world of hurt off the tee. And yes, towards the back. 15 yards from the back edge and 9 from the right. This first of 2 par 3s on the back 9. Playing at 14 and 16, much more spread out on the East Course, 3 and 8. What does she have in store for us off the tee? She's flown to the back half. Far from a gimme, but she's given herself a chance. Quarter after 4 in the afternoon here at Payram. Final 5 holes of the day begins here. The par 3, it is 4-iron for Peng Minji. Certainly shows you how long this hole is when we're seeing a 4 out of the bag. On the border of the fringe to the far right. Well, she's gonna get a decent little roll. But there will be some ground to be made up as she looks for birdie here at the par 3. And a couple holes further ahead. You can tell it's a little bit different when you have 8-iron at the bag here. And here, caddy asking for it to get up. It responds, and it's in the hole for an ace. A Maserati is heading her way, and a memory to last a lifetime. Well, you knew her caddy was pretty fired up about that, and she's absolutely in awe of what just happened. Perfection. So well struck. I think she's gonna have a lot of high fives and fist bumps down the trail towards the green. And that's a welcome back gift to the patrons, I would say, as well. I think she's got time. Take a quick picture. She doesn't have any more strokes to take on this hole. One more time. I think that's a tear of joy. And I don't blame her. What a shot. Well, we are now 2 for 2 in the LPGA Tour of Korea this season, with holes in 1 to start the season. Kim Se-young, 3 feet shy to the right side of the cup. She could certainly use an ace to try and get closer to even. Fix up that divot and then go glance down, make sure that she's not dreaming. She's gonna go, yep, that's there, right? Yes, it is. Take as many replays of this one as they want to give us. The immediate reaction says it all. a golden one, especially following bogeys at 15 and number 12, and that vaults her back up to 3 under. She went 4-iron off the tee and finds herself at the back right of this green. It's decent weight control, but we'll still have a little bit of ground to make up as she looks to save par there. Stay under par. To 17. Uni Na after a couple of birdies. This is 119 meters out on the penultimate hole of her round. To the cutout to the left, just above pin high. There's going to be some snap to the left. Whoa. Well, we are over at the 14th. Well, I tell you, they are certainly bringing the heat with this addition to the tour. A 1 billion won prize pack and a Maserati up for grabs at the 16th. This could turn into be quite the memorable weekend. Missed the safe par for Peng Minji. Oh no. Dives underneath the pin at the very last minute. Her first bogey of the round, and she's back to even. It's about an 8-yarder for birdie. It's got a chance. Ooh, just to the right. Close but no cigar for Uni Na, and that's where the birdie streak will come to an end. Very comfortable 3-under round with just 1 to play. About 5 feet out for the par save and a par made. Cheng Su-yeon. And Kim Se-young. Needed that one. Cheng Su-yeon, she was at even at the end of round 1 last week, so she won't be too daunted. 7-iron at 16 as we see Sung Ga-eun for the first time. Not quite an ace, but still a very, very nice tee shot. It's conducive to some magic if you can put yourself in the right area, especially with that little gully down towards the cup. So we take a look at the 15th. 372 meters, 407 yards. Parallel or in line with this first real bunker to the left will be about where we can expect the tee shots to land. And 3 more traps, one at the front, one at the back, and one off to the right, with the pin location today 13 yards off the front and 10 yards from the right. Definitely do not want to be short on the approach here, otherwise you will be right back off the putting surface. Three birdies here today, but this has been a tricky one. 64 pars. Everyone else has fared worse than that. It is 2 under, 6 back of the lead. And she's sailed towards the right. She's going to bounce twice and stay in the second cut. Kim Se-young is next. Well, she's headed towards the rough on the left side of the fairway. Tough to tell for sure whether she is safely in or not, but it's definitely close. Now Bugman-G all of a sudden down at even. Looking for a bounce back hole here at 15. I think she even might be a pace into the rough also on the right side, and we are getting a pretty good visual representation of just why and how this hole has been playing tough today. And here we are at 15. This is the look at birdie for Lee Dae-yeon. Slightly downhill to start it. And then it needs to get up and get up in a hurry. She has just enough movement at the very end. Thunderous applause. And back into the birdie column. Her second of the day, and she is 1 under. Also in a tie for 15th. This is the island green here at Pae Ram. And this is officially oh boy territory. The shoes are off. The things you will do to avoid a penalty, and you can see that back foot sinking more and more as she gets established. Son Ye-bin, she's hopefully as aligned as she can be. Now she's just got to figure out how to strike this as cleanly as possible. She's popped it up. Now where has she landed? Well, she's done little more than save her penalty, and she'll try off, clean the mud off. It's not one we see every day. Can't imagine that feels overly refreshing on a day where it's just into the double digits. Temperature-wise, still around 10. Here's Kim Se-young with her second, 157 shy. Is she gonna get a fortuitous bounce? Maybe not a bounce, but she'll roll closer. She'll stay just off. And we'll be chipping up next. It was remarkable, a lot of things last week, but one of the most impressive aspects Cheng Soo-yeon's gameplay was how much she improved off the tee every single round. She missed only 3 fairways on pars 4 and 5 in round 1. Then she went 12 of 14, 13 of 14, and 12 of 14 again in the final round. It's not an easy out of the rough. She is on the green. Not nearly as close as she would have been hoping for. And Peng Min-ji, one last chance to check the wind. From 141. Well, she too is going to get hung up on the fringe. None of the 3 quite had the sensational out that they would have been hoping for. And now that we're all dried off, we've traded the water for the sand. May not be insignificant. Down the stretch into round 2 as she is flirting with the cut, and she nearly holed out from the sand. After playing from the mud, she found another hazard and was still just centimeters shy of saving par, something I'm sure she would have never assumed was possible after that tee shot. So it is 8 over. One of 4 players on course at that mark. Cho Yoon-jung with the highest score of the day with a 17 over 89. Nearing the cart path. Staying in play, and honestly not a terrible look at the pin from there either. It was always going to be something of a letdown relative to the ace she had at the last. So we get a look at the most recent leaderboard. It is still Park Ji-young leading them all at 8 under par, though we are seeing a late round charge on the much more competitive East course here at Pae Ram. We'll be back to the opening round in minutes. Stay with us. Well, took a good whack from Peng Min-ji with their first putt. Reminder, we've seen 64 pars here, only a handful of birdies. It's certainly playing a challenging one today. Now Kim Chae-hee drops it in and gets it online. Not quite enough power at the bitter end. Nice up and down. Tell you, unless she wins the tournament, everything will be emotionally a bit downhill after the elation of her ace. Ran digging into the sand. She's already had one very impressive out earlier in the round. Higher degree of difficulty here at the par 3. And she makes it look easy again. She glanced at her caddy right away for the instant feedback. He was up the hill and had a much better vantage point of it. I think they'll both be quite satisfied with that result. Now Kim Se-young putting from deep in the fringe, trying to pick up a birdie and get closer to even. Just fades away at the very end. It's a tap-in par. Three more holes to try and pick up 3 more strokes to the good and finish the day at even. 6 strokes between the most recent 2 players to appear on screen, as it is a par. Kim Chae-hee. Now Jang Soo-yeon is ready for this long downhill look at birdie. This would move her within 5 strokes. It's looking promising. It's looking superb. It is superb. How many of those did we see last Sunday? She was firmly and squarely in the hunt. Game a 2-player race at the very end. She had what it took to get over the finish line with shots just like that. Now it's 16. It's 13.3 meters uphill for Lee Dae-yeon. I think it's just going to run out of power. Maybe not. She gets the benefit of the slope, goes around the world twice. What a show we have been treated to. Not only did it straighten out towards the cup at the end, it even made a move for the right and did 2 full revolutions before dropping, and you can see her gesturing just that. It's 2 birdies in a row for Lee Dae-yeon. Speaking of 2 in a row, Peng Min-ji will be hoping to avoid 2 bogeys in a row. She needs this for par. She's gone left. When she's winning tournaments, her putter's her best friend. When she's out of the hunt, it is the exact opposite. It's starting to let her down a little bit here in the final few holes. What a whirlwind this hole has been. From the sand to the edge of the water at 18. Not just edge of the water, but splash zone. Gotta get up to try and set up a reasonable par putt to avoid a little slip at the last. And she's certainly done just that, striking the ball so well these final few holes. She certainly needed that to give herself a chance. Back to the 16th we go to see if we have a little more magic in store. As you can see, it is such a drop downhill that it plays so much shorter. Seven iron is the club of choice for Chang Soo-yeon. We want another ace. That will be a nervy look at birdie downhill. Is going to be tough to control that. As we see the group finishing off at 18. Kwon So-yeon unable to drain that from about 6 meters away. Kim Se-young is next. Electing to go with the 7. Didn't look a comfortable swing. She's going to get a good roll. Lost a little bit of grip on her follow through there, and she was swinging herself out of her shoes a little bit. Well, after a bit of a roller coaster hole, one final surprise in store for Uni Na. Well, unfortunately for her, be bogey at the last. Just her second of the round, going all the way back to the second hole for her first, but still a tidy 2 under after 18. Now Kwon So-yeon. She will settle for par, but 4 bogeys on the back 9. Three holes to play, and Peng Min-ji is certainly due for a birdie. Going with 7. You could see how close she came. Divot just a few feet away. Bounces and rolls back up the hill, and this is how close it was. Even nicking it off the stick might have given her an all but guaranteed birdie. We're starting to see her fall a little bit away from that chasing group, and the opposite is the case. 4 under on the 5th hole, having started on the 10th tee, is Lee Chae-eun 2. Starting to shake things up a little bit in the final hour for our coverage of the opening round of the MEDIHEAL HANKOOKILBO Championship from Peiram. Well, it's a decent effort from quite some distance out. Had flown off to the right. ENG will be next. This to make sure she's not over par for long. The weight was there. It's always going to be a tricky one back down that little valley. Just stays out and keeps her from her birdie. She is one over heading to the 17th. Well, based on what we've seen, 5 meters or so is what we can expect to be remaining. Kim Soo-ji, 140 meters away from dead center in the fairway. 26 meters at her apex, but she's left and she's off the green. Yuhei Ran, after an impromptu visit to the bunker, had another great out. It's 2 under with 2 holes to play. 138 meters. This is a lot more true. And true to form, she is attacking that pin once again. We'll be quite happy with that look at birdie. Kim Se-young for a birdie at the 16th to climb one step closer back to even par. Just enough to get it started. Needs the line to behave, and it just falls in at the very end. It's her first birdie of the round, much to the approval of the gallery. I'll tell you, there aren't many more scenic holes, especially on a clear sunny day, to take in an event than this island green at 16. Slightest of downhill putts to save par, to keep herself at 3 under. And she's there. 2 to play for our featured group. 2 last chances to get a little bit closer to 8 under. And this is 18. You can see how narrow the fairway is on the way up to the 18th green, up towards the gorgeous clubhouse as well. And with that narrow fairway, you find Kim Chae-hee off into the rough. This is her approach. Well, it sounded like trouble, and it turns out to be. Bit of a disastrous third shot. Kim Soo-ji chipping from just off the green. Oh, the weight, the touch, near perfect. Feeling confident after her birdie. Seung will be trying to replicate that past performance. She's off to a good start into the fairway. Little unorthodox, that swing, especially with driver compared to some on tour, but gets the job done. Something that Yu Heiran has done a lot of today. This should be for 3 under if she can hole out this birdie. Needs to start it a bit to the right of the hole. She's done it. It's great. Five back of the lead and very much red hot at the minute. Well, right at the hill on the right side of the fairway and a nice kick back towards the middle. Clearly that routine or superstition pays off. Takes her driver, 3 taps before setting up and letting it rip. Minji has just 2 chances left to get back to even. She's not sure where this is headed. Could have been worse, but she is still in the rough. It's definitely fading off the club face, and even Kim Se-young had to sidestep to the left to try and track where that thing was going to fall. Still 105 meters out with the 4th for Kim Chae-hee. She might have used up a good portion of her luck today at the 16th. She is putting, but she's got a tricky one to try and save her par. On her way in, I mean, hey, she could quadruple bogey from here on out, and I think she'd still say it was a pretty memorable day. But not only does she have her ace and the Maserati to go with it, but she is putting together a few pretty good holes here. Just past 5 p.m. local time at Pei Ram. Final few holes of the opening round, the second event of the season. And our first look at the Elif Haziz Point leaderboard this season. 1 round in, and of course that means the initial jostling for positions. For those unfamiliar, the Elif Haziz Points is a season-long competition, factoring in where you finish every single round, as well as the scores you make on every hole. Also gives some rewards for consecutive top 10s, and will also punish if you find yourself off the pace, missing the cut in 2 straight events. And unfortunately it will be bogey. And if that ball doesn't slow down soon, it could be more. Well, with how much to the right Minji was looking off the tee, this isn't a terrible lie. She strikes it well. Was left leaning, but sat up nicely above the pin. Kim for an opening round of 73. This slopey left to right. Should be there. It is there. It is 73 for Kim. Nice way to end the day. Finished up her front nine with a birdie. Finishes off her back with a birdie as well. It's 135 meters. It's on a pretty good line. It's going to carry nicely as well. About 4 meters downhill between her and a birdie. Bring her within 4. Time for Kim Se-young. Left side of the fairway, straight shot. Down and at the flag. And she'll get her bounce onto the putting surface. Well, of the 120 competitors, we've only seen 10 birdies at the 17th. We're getting a pretty good illustration as to why. It is a bogey at the last, but it is a day to remember. Kim Se-hee. I'm sure she will be going back to the clubhouse, and when she pulls out her phone, it might still be receiving some messages of congratulations and oh my goodnesses. It's a pretty comfortable lead that Park Ju-young's created for herself with a 64. Park Ju-young just a couple of shots off the pace, and Yoo-hae Ran leading the group of those still on course, trying to cut the lead in half here in the final few holes of our opening round at the MEDIHEAL HANKOOKILBO Championship at Peiram. Just about closing time. The inaugural round of the inaugural event, the MEDIHEAL HANKOOKILBO Championship. Peng Min-ji, don't know if she would have necessarily been a favorite based on form, as she's made her official start to 2022 after recovering from COVID-19. She's been steady, but she's also had her struggles. Past couple of holes, now over par. Also one over. Sung Ga-eun on 18 from the fairway. Well, she'll be closest of the three. But it's definitely a tough pin position for an opening round, way at the back right of this 18th green. Kim Se-young for birdie. The first of the downhill putts, the furthest out. A good first effort. Now Chang Soo-yeon. It's a little bit straighter. Still downhill and still be a little right to left from our vantage point. Looks like she's threaded that gap beautifully. With only a few groups left on course, the gallery following the group containing last week's winner is starting to grow. She is 4 back. Just 1 hole to play. And on 18, Sung Ga-eun to try and get to even for the day. She's got it there. Nice finish. An opening round 72. 2 birdies in the final 3 holes. She had consecutive bogeys, 1 and 2. Just a few holes later, 2 more squares, but she battled to get it back. That's what Peng Min-ji is trying to do right now. She's just in a battle to avoid dropping another. This time she's missed left. Her putter has gone ice cold, and it's another bogey. And off they will head to the 18th tee. Well, the flag at 18, playing a bit of peekaboo behind the tree in the sand. See the gorgeous glass clubhouse and the stadium-style bleachers set up. I'm sure those will be much more full as Sunday rolls around. It's 138 meters for Kim Soo-ji. Wind blowing across her body, a little left to right. Especially based on the approaches we saw from the previous group, that is pretty good. I haven't seen many to the right side of the flag with its location today. Well, it's a very nice second shot to set her up this way. No obstacles in her path, but not enough flight on it. She might have overcompensated for the wind, and it cost her some distance. Now last on the approach. Lee Na-yeon at 2 under. 109 meters out and just avoided that third cut directly in front of her. Oh, and that's the nicest of the lot. Great look at birdie, a chance to get to 3 under by round's end.
Okay.
Teeing off for the final time. Only have 2 players at 5 under. Chang Soo-yeon hoping to become the 3rd, but she's starting on the back foot. She's rolled into the sand off the tee. Kim Se-young is next. And the initial reviews are positive. 1 bounce and stays nestled in the fairway. And Bang Min-ji. That's a confident look, and that typically bodes well. Needed a promising start. Certainly will be owed a good result here. Here we go to 16. The shot of the day, probably the shot of the weekend, let's be frank. Absolutely perfect. And she's already getting presented with her brand new ride. I'd say she'll be the envy of many with that Maserati GT. Sure many watching at home would say, I'll happily go for a ride in that beautiful machine. It'll be wood. 296 for Kim Se-young. Does the job, advances well. Yue ran this to get to within 4 and finish with a 68. It's a tricky left to right. It's already gone by. Bang Min-ji second. By the narrowest of margins, but she is still in the fairway. Now, how will Chang Soo-yeon handle the second shot out of the sand? Hasn't helped herself out a ton. From a miss to the right to a miss to the left and into the rough. As we go back to the 18th green. Kim Soo-ji, this for birdie. Little left to right. well past, and she's still away. Absolutely rocketed that off her putter. As we go back to 16. Oh my word, it's gotta start. It's gonna die just off to the left, but that looked promising for a moment. Now all of a sudden it's a par save for Kim Soo-ji. Still more than a respectable round. She did her heavy lifting on the front nine. It's 3 under for the day, a 69. Has her in a tie for 6th with 8 players. Perhaps 9 if Lee Dae-yeon can drain this. She can. And a bit of the opposite. It was all pars through 9. She started the back with a bogey and straightened it out from there. 4 birdies on the way in. And Yuhei ran with a 69 as well. Couple sensational shots, 3 birdies in a row. It's a good start to her tournament. Well, there will be no ace, but Kang Yelin rolls it in. Nice birdie. 4th of the day. It's the 3 bogeys that are weighing that score down a tad. She's 1 under. Top of the points and top of the money with her win in the opening event of the season. She's carrying in that form with her to the opening round here. She's 0 for 3 now. Missed the fairway off the tee. Missed the fairway with her second and misses with the approach as well. Pang Min-ji is a handful of these with the last group. Right side of the fairway, over the sand, over the tree, and onto the green. Well, she's given herself a chance for her birdie. Kim Se-young's turn. Not gonna get closer than Pang Min-ji, but she is on the green. We haven't actually gone through the round yet for our leader. Just 1 bogey, but 9 birdies, 4 on the front, 5 on the back for a 64. Unless things change, I have a feeling that could be the lowest score of the tournament, and it's put herself in very good stead, comfortably ahead towards the end of the opening round here at Peiram. just about closing time at Peiram. Here we are at the 18th. It's been a struggle this hole for Cheng Soo-yeon. And despite all of that, the unfavorable lies, the fair amount of spraying from left to right, she nearly found a birdie. It's a tap-in par for a very respectable round of 68. Leaves just 2 left in our featured group. And the cameras are out. This is as big a week for the patrons as it is for the field. The incredible supporters who have stuck with this tour for a couple of years, unable to be there in person. And also, a shout out to you, our just absolutely sensational viewers and supporters from around the world. We appreciate your viewership as well as your support of this tour. In our featured group, 0 for 2 in the birdie hunt, but another par. Only the one birdie on the round at the 16th. 2 over, a round of 74 for Kim Se-young. Teed off at 12:20 a.m. local time. 5 hours and 10 minutes between the opening shot and the last shot of this group. It is Pang Min-ji for birdie. Straightening out just in time. That's a nice way to end it. She needed a positive to build on, a birdie on each of the front and back, but 3 bogeys in 4 holes. A tough stretch, 14 to 17. But last year's 6-time winner finishes the day on a high. So great to have her back. One of the faces of the tour now, and one of the faces of Korean women's golf. She'll be hoping to go much lower tomorrow. And if anyone wants to keep pace with Park Ji-young, there's some work to be done tomorrow. Really just one challenger left on course, and P2 is up for grabs for Lee Chae-yeon-2 with just 1 hole to play as she finishes her round on the par 5 ninth. Well, just one group to finish in this opening round, and that's a very nice on. For Hung Ye-na, hasn't been the most memorable or impressive of days. That cannot be said for this young woman. Ichaeun 2, 3 birdies on her front 9, 2 on the back, and 1 more opportunity to try and move a step closer and into sole possession of second. And with that approach, she's given herself a really good opportunity to do just that. Back to 18 we go, 3 over through 17 holes. Sat up about 7 meters up the hill from the pin at 18. And Park Do-young a bit to the right for Kerry Park, but she'll be happy with that. Sung-yeon now, this to get to even par, putting at 16, off the stick and in. That's a very nice make from a tricky spot. Birdies 5, 9, and now 16. And even with just 2 to play. The clouds dissipating a little bit, just in time for us to say goodbye today. Forecasting at the moment to be a little bit better tomorrow, but the bulk of the precipitation coming earlier in the morning and much earlier in the round. Made for a very playable course today. Certainly Park Ji-young benefited from it. We'll be back on the air at the same time tomorrow. Be sure to set your calendars accordingly for round 2. It's 3 p.m. local time here just outside the city of Icheon. Well, this could be the putt to bring Ichaeun 2 within 2. She just leaves it to the inside. So we'll be a round of 67. And a spotless card at that. 3 birdies on the front, 2 on her way in. She is in a 2-way tie. Well, it's starting to straight up if it has the legs, and it does. Quite a nice finish at 18. 3 birdies in a row, and that was necessary to mitigate the 3 bogeys very early in her round. Definitely righted the ship. And for birdie at 9. Disappointing one for Hung Ye-na. a short tap in. That is 9 pars in a row for a perfect 36 on the way in. Birdie, excuse me, at the 18th as well. For a round of 80. It's online. Well, on a day where feels like not much has gone right, you take your victories. That's a nice way to finish. Triple bogey 14, double bogey at the 7th, bogey, 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 all the way up to that final birdie on the day. Positive to take away. And for a round of 74, this will be a tricky one. Kimi G looking right, a little too fast down that hill. Pin back in. One last check halfway between ball marker and cup. Get a read at the line. Wants to make sure she's not dropping any more shots. This for her par. It'll be a 75 if she finds this make. And 75 penciled in. 10 straight pars. Bogey 2, bogey 8, and a double at the 6th. But certainly leveled out her game on her way in. ALF has his point standings. Aside from the final result, of course, a couple of points for some specific strokes for the top 30. In the last rounds, we take you through the opening round highlights here at Payram. We begin at the 9th, and it is a long, long birdie. Chen Yisong. That was one of her 3 on the West course. Now this is some of the action we've been waiting a long time to see, at least on our side of the broadcast. Penultimate hole, a birdie to get to 3 under, and Park Ju-young was not done there. Why not have one more birdie in store? 9 on the day. If not for that bogey at 15, it would be a opening round of 63, but a 64 nevertheless. Sensational. These two were trading shot for shot all round long. Only 3 strokes separate them after 18 holes. Only 1 bogey on the round. That came at the 18th. Park Ju-young. This was at 10. From just, and I do mean just, on the green. Front of the front edge of the green on the way in, and Kim Chae-hee, she had a couple of those literal scintillating strokes. This, of course, the highlights, literally and figuratively. From the tee at the par 3, just drops down from the heavens and rolls the last 5 feet in. Both she and her caddy couldn't believe it, pointing at the hole. Like, can you believe that? An ace at the 16th. And the keys to a brand new Maserati to boot. This was at 15. Down the stretch, we really saw Chang Soo-yeon turn it up. And strokes reminiscent of some of the absolutely incredible shots she had last week. She's carried that form over. That birdie got her to 3 under. Lee Dae-yeon from 13.3. Long sweeping right to left. It needed to get right, and then it needed to stay there. It had a little bit more movement at the end. 2 full revolutions of the cup before falling for the very impressive birdie. And then 17, back with Chang Soo-yeon. Downhill putt with some serious left to right for her. Everyone looking to take some notes from the now 4-time winner, the LPGA Tour of Korea. She's in a tie for 4th position at 4 under par. Everyone else is finished. Only 3 were at 67 or better. That is, of course, Park Ju-young. And a really, really good round as well for Lee Chae-yeon too. But nobody could quite keep pace today. Park Ji-young with an opening round, 64, 8 under par. Well, that's going to do it for us on behalf of our absolutely incredible crew here on the LPGA Tour of Korea. We extend our sincere thanks for making us a part of your Thursday, and we look forward to doing it all over again. The inaugural playing, the MEDIHEAL HANKOOKILBO Championship, certainly had some moments to remember. We'll have to wait and see what tomorrow has in store. I've been Adam Jenkins, signing off from Payram. Thanks again. We will see you tomorrow right here on the LPGA Tour of Korea.